2020 has been anything like mine. It's just been really busy and crazy, even though we're not seeing people or going to events or anything like that. It's just been work here or a small thing to do here, and then we're running out of daylight, of course. So when the farm chores are finally said and done, there's nothing left, but that's okay. We're here, and I'm happy to see you guys. And I've been thinking about this podcast for a long time since I made the last one. I just haven't been able to get up and do it. And I wanted to continue the conversation. First, I would love to say that I truly appreciate the engagement we had on the last one. It was awesome to just talk to people and discuss and have no emotions involved and not no one have their defenses up. Um, I think you guys can see on the post how that kind of went down, but it was awesome because at the end of a little discussion back and forth, one of the readers that you guys know, Matt and I went back and forth just thanking each other for having someone to engage with in a intelligent conversation where no matter what he said, I was not going to get upset. No matter what I said, he was not going to get upset. And I just want to tell you guys that that was awesome. And that is what we need more of, right? Not having those defenses up, being open, listening, wanting to learn more perspectives, because that's how we evolve, right? Um, Evolution is not a theory, okay? Evolution is a fact. A fact is something you can observe, right? So you can see, you can observe things evolving through your lifetime. Like, think about your phone, right? Think about your first phone. Technology has evolved. An observable fact, okay? It is the theory. What is theory is evolution through natural selection. That's a theory, and it's very well backed with sources. So um you gotta be careful even reading the word theory, because it's not, usually if someone comes out with a theory, it doesn't come out of thin air. There's a reason why it is thought to be. Anyways, but that's how we evolve. That's how technology evolves. That's how things evolve. When you take in new information, it adjusts your behaviors, your thoughts, your emotions, maybe your physical body, and you then change. And the only thing guaranteed in this life is change. And I want to talk to you guys about the last subject, kind of put a different twist on it to have a little different perspective on what I said last time. And then I have some announcements and talk about 2020 a little bit. I have my notes today because yesterday I attempted to make a podcast and my brain and my words were not on the same page. So today I made notes and I think it's going to go a lot better. All right. So last time I was on here, it was just me, and today's another solo day. There will be more interviews coming up. I promise you that. Um, but before we even get into this, sorry, I know we're going to keep spiraling. We're not even going to circle today. We're going to spiral. So I want to talk about 2020. I want to talk about 2021 and some things coming up and how exciting, but I want to talk about 2020. And the reason I've been absent, it's been weeks since I made that last podcast. And talking to my friends who have horses and my clients and everybody just kind of feeling a little under the weather. Me too. I mean, it's been a while since I got on here and talked to you guys, and I apologize, but I also needed that. If your 2020 has been like mine, you've been working your butt off. And I really don't mean like work, like your job to get money to survive. All kinds of work. Yes, I've been working, but I've also been furloughed here and there because of shutdowns for safety reasons, and I totally understand that. And I'm very grateful for the clinics I've been able to do. And we even had a little show and a little demo that we were able to do this summer and this fall when it was safer, and a lot got canceled as well. And that's why I have an announcement to make, because we're going to change stuff up so we can be more accessible to you guys, because That's what we're here for, right? You have a knack, you have a talent, and you make your work in this world by serving others. So I'm missing so many of my clients who have stuff to work on and want me to work with them, and we just can't get together. And I am not just about phone calling and having you work it out all by yourselves. I have a completely different idea, something totally awesome, totally new, and totally affordable, um, because I want to serve you guys. I want you to be comfortable on your track on horsemanship. And so I'll make that announcement at the end. Got to get you a little psyched up for it. But what I wanted to get at is that this year's been a lot of work, right? People have been working on their houses. We've been deconstructing structures that will go back up in different structures. And, if you want to know what's happening this year, what has happened this year, go back and learn from history. But the only times major structures have been changed were during pandemic or the result of pandemics. So, a lot of us feel lost. A lot of us feel tired. A lot of us feel worn out because if you weren't working at work, maybe you were working on yourself. If you're like me, I've done a lot of work on myself in the home, and I don't regret any of it. I do not regret taking the time that I needed that day to get through work I needed to do for my horses, for myself. And if you're not riding your horse every day, it's okay. It's okay. That's something we're going to get into later as well, is it's okay. Remember, and part of me living now in Wisconsin and Minnesota, which is, my Florida friends think I'm crazy, but at the same time, it does remind me that there are seasons. And things take time. So the work I had to take for myself this year took time. Every step, there's a gestation period of growth and development and learning and, cleansing and making space for something new. Everything takes time. So we're in December now. We had a blizzard here in October. I'm looking out the window right now and it's actually a nice day, and I know that can change at any time. But the horses as well, they do the best they make the best trick horses when they're not trick riding every day. I'm the best trick rider when I'm not trick riding every day, or else I get burnt out. So I want to remind you guys that if you haven't talked to me, to remind you that it's okay. It's okay to go out and do chores and just handle your horses. If their daily thing right now is to get their halters on and you lead them from, the paddock to the pasture, that's what our system has kind of been. And then some trail rides through the hay fields. That's okay. They're getting handled, so they're not getting feral, but they're taking the time to, unwind from the summer. And that's okay, because look outside. That's what's happening in nature all the time. Let nature remind you that there are seasons, and we're getting into, come Christmas, the work. And so right now is the time to unwind from everything and then get ready for when the real work starts. So don't beat yourself up if you haven't done everything you wanted to do this year. I know I haven't. But at the same time, I'm super grateful for landing in a spot that my horses and I can live together affordably, and being in a state and an area with great benefits and insurance, and having my health taken care of that way if I needed to get things taken care of, and having a great community around me of friends and family. And if you're like me, it's okay to be like, this year sucks, but at the same time, just spend a little time in gratitude of where you are, because there's a lot of people who have it much worse than we do. And if you're someone who has personally been affected by, the economy crash, or civil rights, or the virus, or you or someone has been sick or even passed on, my arms and my heart reaches out to you, is reaching continuously out to you. And yeah, I give you all the time to get through these things. And I wish you just peace and growth, and uphill from here, because we're reaching the end of this year. We got some good things coming. But if you were like me, and I know I I said to you guys, I'm going to do weekly podcasts here and there, and that didn't happen. And that's okay, because there was stuff more in my inner life and my inner authority and structure that needed to be taken care of before I could reach outwardly. But that's okay. If I can't help you guys, if I can't help myself. So it was a good year to do all that, and a hard year, a hardworking year. So I think next year we'll be able to reap those benefits, and we will, because I got something for you. But let's get into that later. Anyways, okay. So last time we talked about attachment theory, right? And I agreed with the article that came out from a university saying that horses don't have attachment. And I gave examples that they don't, why they wouldn't have attachment, because of their prey animal instincts, and being attached would be a more vulnerable place. If they are attached to a human or something, then they're not free. They're not sovereign to be able to run from danger. And that study is super interesting. And the reason I took it on was because I got into it online, and actually since then my social media is like gone. I have my business page, and I have to keep my personal page to keep my business page on Facebook, but I don't use it. Mostly because of not being able to converse and debate. But that was my inspiration. And so it's interesting that I've even evolved from that. And I was like, now I'm like, it's not worth it. But what I found fascinating, and why I got into it, is because of the human attachment to the idea of attachment. And so, you know, this day and age, we need to think about what is influencing our thoughts and our emotions. And a lot of the stuff I want to share with you with horses is not something that you're always given. Like if you start taking riding lessons, that's what you're taking. You're taking riding lessons. Somebody who knows who, they probably don't have any formal education in horses, they just grew up with it, is teaching you how to do something. They're not teaching you why you're doing it. They're just teaching you how. And because it's your first attempt with it, you just accept it. You just accept it as the way it's done. And so that's how I grew up. Like, this is how you make a pony trot, you know, and if they don't go this way, you show them a crop. And if they don't go this way, you do this. And it wasn't until later that I started to question everything that was sent to me, because I knew how to do something, but not why I was doing it, right? So horses are not math class. You're not given that formal education for the most part. And if the formal education you are getting, if you're in the United States, it's probably not that great, because in our universities, they teach mainly three things: reproduction, nutrition, and business. But they don't teach cognition and psychology. You know, you get a stud starting class, and if you're like me and you've watched one of those, you're like, yikes, what's happening here? Because they're not applying those things that you're looking for. Like the psychology and the cognition and the applied learning theory and stuff like that. You don't even really have like a horse history class. You just have how to make money, how to feed them so they look nice and they feel nice, and veterinary stuff, right? So just kind of like the outer thing, but not really cracking into more of the why. So influencing our reason for getting started with horses, I watched Saddle Club and I watched the Black Stallion, and I loved those things. And that's why I wanted a horse, right? Because the Black Stallion's running down the beach and the little boy becomes his friend, and then they're best friends, and the horse was running after him and attached to him. And now something like this tells you your horse isn't attached to you and it's crushing your heart's desire. And even though it's a credible, valid experiment that you could redo yourself, because if it is a truly an academic experiment, it will have the methods so that someone could redo it themselves and produce those same results. You're still going to, you want to reject it because it's not your heart's desire. But I thought, I grew up that way. I grew up like, my horse loves me so much. And then, I evolved as a horse person, because I just kept searching for more knowledge. And learning this totally made sense to me, but didn't change the way I felt about my horses. Okay, so today I wanted to talk about horse emotions and human emotions to maybe reframe something for you guys so that you can maybe put yourself to rest and understand that it might not be like a movie, but nothing is. Nothing is, right? Intimacy is not like it is in the movies. Friendships are not like they are in the movies. And movies always have a destination, right? Happy ending. Life, I don't know if you know this, but life has no destination, okay? I like to think of life, and if you think that life has a destination and you're like, I'll do this when this happens, or I'll get there at some point, or you're going to struggle because you're always going to be waiting for that day, and that day's not going to come, okay? So spoiler alert, life's not like a movie. Riding horses is not like a movie. There is no destination, okay? Think of life as more like a quest. And what happens in a movie, every time people go on a quest, the unexpected happens, right? Because that's life. You cannot expect the unexpected, and you don't know what's going to happen. Like what I'm doing right now is not what I thought I'd be doing when I was younger, even though my job on this planet is to teach others, serve horsemanship, and then improving the life of horse owners and horses in the process with a little bit of entertainment too. So on your quest for horsemanship, try to think of this, and I want to talk about emotions because it's going to put a little bit of a twist so that you can know that yes, your horse still loves you, but let's redefine horse love. So don't think of love as attachment. Let's think of love as something else. So first, I want to talk about human emotions. Because we have higher thinking, because we take so long to develop, right? Humans have the biggest brain, we have higher thinking, that's why we create, and we are almost deities ourselves because we have higher thinking. Most animals don't go around thinking about tomorrow and yesterday, they're in the moment, because that's my dog's on my bed. She's in the moment napping. And horses are in the moment too, and they're super adaptable. Remember, a good example of how in the moment they are and how adaptable they are is like I talk about moving my horses off the road and into a pasture. They are circus horses, but they adapt to their environment. So I'm gonna probably throw a clip on here if I can. Having the tent go up, the trailer every week, the dogs. Oh my God, Remy last year, we did a bridleless act and we would go into the circus tent, back up, so all the dogs in the dog act before us can run out the door, and Remy would just sit there hanging out with the dogs. And he adapted to that environment. That was then. Now he's in the quiet country setting. I keep the radio on and I keep stuff going because they adapted to the quiet. So he did this then, but this is what he's adapted to now because they are in the moment. Okay, so we need to be in the moment with them as well. And we have higher thinking. We think about tomorrow. We think about yesterday. Okay, and the reason we are higher thinking, or how we could be higher thinking, is because we are top of the food chain, right? So when we are born, it takes us 18 years to develop. Little babies can't even lift their heads up. But if horses were that way, they would be dead. Okay, because if they can't even lift their head up, let alone almost walk for a year, something's going to come by and eat them. Horses stand up in an hour after birth. They have to be on their feet so they can flee, right? So us being able to take that time to develop our brains, and having the security to take long to develop, enables us the ability to develop higher thinking. So along with higher thinking come higher emotions. Emotions are energy downloads so that we can have a call to action, okay? So if something's happening and all of a sudden I feel fear, I have a call to action to make a move to save my life, right? So horses very much being fearful, something's rustling in the bushes, they're downloading that energy that's causing the fear so that they can fight, flight, spook, or just, throw off a rider. But that's like a side effect. It's not the intention, it's the side effect. So our higher emotions include love and attachment, right? Because you see humans doing deep work with soulful work, being in, committed monogamous friendships or relationships or whatever it is, and you don't really see that in the animal world, okay? Because it's not a higher emotion that's there. So we have a wide range of emotions, a wide range of higher emotions. If you'd like to look them up earlier. I found this like pinwheel of all these emotions, but to go through it is kind of irrelevant. I don't really want to talk about the horse emotions, okay? So attachment, love is a higher emotion by higher beings because we can, and I have the freedom to attach to this object, person, being, place without being harmed by my survival, and horses do not. Okay, but horses do have something very important. Ooh, and I almost forgot something. I gotta write it down right now. Yes, I almost forgot this. This is important. I'm going to tie multiple perspectives in here. If you know natural horsemanship, they teach you the horse has two sides of their brains. Duh. Okay. You have the left side of the brain, the thinking side, the confident side, right? And with that comes learning and calmness and curiosity, and then you have the right side, which is like instinctual survival, unconfident. Okay, so a horse can learn in both. They can learn how to be more fearful, and that way they can survive easier, generalize things so they can avoid such environments or stimuli, whatever. And then the calm side, and that's the kind of horse you want to ride. That's the kind of horse you want to work with. That's the kind of horse that you want to get adapted. That's the horse you want once you start adapting them to your human-esque environment. And adapting your horse to that environment is good for them because then they can move throughout the human world with less stress, okay? So instead of left brain, right brain, unconfident, confident, I'm going to go into two major emotions. And I know they have more than two emotions, but kind of stay with me, two emotions that umbrella multiple behaviors and reactions, okay? So right brain, and I'm using this side. This is my left, and it looks like your left on the screen too. Oh well. But let's say right brain. One emotion would be fear, okay? Fear umbrellas many things. Stress, learned hopelessness, spooking, fighting, flight. Flight, of course. That's the first probably reaction is to run because they're fast. That's how they were designed to survive. Learning under fear, not a good learning for us, but learning so they can survive and move through their environment, right? All these things come under the emotion of fear. It umbrellas many behaviors, right? On the other side now, let's talk about the emotion of safety. I'm going to call this safety, okay? Because if the horse is not in fear, what are they? They feel safe, okay? And let's umbrella the idea of safety, the emotion of safety, with things like calmness, relaxation, curiosity, learning, right? Natural horsemanship says that a horse cannot learn if they're not using their left side of their brain or feeling secure, feeling safe. They can learn, but it's just not probably what you're teaching them if they're not feeling safe, right? So learning, adaptation to things that we want to get them adapted to. They can still adapt to fear, and then they're stressed out all the time. But one of the big sub things under the umbrella I want to say is trust, okay? We're going to say that horsey trust is like love, okay? When your horse trusts you, think of everything you can do. You can make decisions for them. You can ride them. You can joust on them. You can swing around a sword because they trust you that they're not to be fearful, right? That their safety is not at risk when they are around you. And you can switch it to the other side if you so choose, by being heavy-handed and scaring them and pushing too much pressure. And then if they're too safe with you, maybe they'll try to be overconfident with you and kind of push on you. Remember, horses, it's like walking a fine line in between them not walking all over you, but them trusting you enough so they're not afraid of you, right? I mean, it depends on the horse, of course. They're all different. We're all different. But when your horse trusts you, that's when you can run down the beach with no bridle, right? Because he's with you, right? And someone asked me, well, attachment does happen because your horses are going to come to you versus somebody else. That's not necessarily attachment. That is because of the applied learning. So I have taught my horses to have positive interactions with me, so they automatically know through associations that I'm the safe place. I'm the safe person. I trust her, right? And I want to mention something, and I hope this resonates with you guys, that your horse might not be attached to you, but trust you. And that's a major thing, to have the trust of a horse. Think about their natural instincts and think about our natural instincts. They're a prey animal and we are a predator. It's not natural for us to hang out, but we've been hanging out for a long time. And you know, the first writing on horsemanship was back in 350 BC. And if you've ever ridden, it's like through the public domain. You can get hands on this book. It's On Horsemanship by Xenophon. And he actually knows what he's doing. It's not like an obscure book to read. He's pretty on the money with modern horsemanship today versus what they did back then. Some of his reasonings are a little anthropomorphic, but they didn't really have scientific data back then. But, you know, this has been going on for a long time. So your horse trusting you is special. Horses have ridden into battle to their deaths because they trusted their person. And in this book on horsemanship, he will tell you how each soldier would train their horse for war and how to never raise a heavy hand at your horse because you need your horse to trust you, right? So, okay, your horse doesn't actually love you to the point where they are forming attachment bonds, but they trust you. And so, yeah, they'll do what you ask them to, and they want to see you, and they light up when they see you, because if they make that positive association that you are safety and you are learning and you are curiosity, they like being confident, they like learning, they love rewards, they get bored easily, they're awake 22 hours a day, 21 to 22 hours a day, especially if they're kept in stalls. Like, they want something to look forward to. And if you are that doesn't mean attachment, but that means a lot of good things under that umbrella of the emotion of safety. Having that idea of love and attachment heightens your expectations from the animal, and then you get disappointed, you get angry if it doesn't play out the way you want. But knowing that we have trust and it's delicate and need to maintain it, and there's not just attachment holding you there invisibly, means that when you bring your horse to a situation that they're no longer feeling safe and they're feeling fearful, you can identify that and you can act accordingly. You don't have to get upset. You're not going to put yourself in a dangerous situation. You are now going to take that emotion and use your tools and make more positive associations to bring them back to a safe feeling and gain that trust back. So being able to detach from those human desires and human emotions helps you so much, and will help your horse and will help your bond too. So knowing that you don't have attachment and love, and knowing that love is trust, and being able to work through the situations will actually make your horse trust you more. And if you want to call trust love, then there you go. So it doesn't actually change much, but it will help you when you need to identify a situation, a behavior attached to, attached with an emotion from the animal, and then being able to act accordingly, respond, so you can change the situation, keep yourself in a good frame of mind because you're a horse trainer and you gotta keep yourself calm. Now I want to mention too that you should always love your horse. You should always be attached and love your horse. Maybe not necessarily attached, but what I'm saying is committed, okay? Because your horse's response between the emotions of fear and safety, they're going to feel their emotions based off of your emotions. So if you're feeling disappointed one day and frustrated, they're going to feed off of that, and then they're going to download that energy from their environment, which is you, and they're going to register that and start to feel fearful, okay? So it's important that you understand that horse love is actually trust and not attachment. It's important for you to still love your horse. And the reason I got into that attachment theory last time was because I was fascinated with the fact that people were so attached at the idea that their horse has to love them. And I thought, why? Why do you need to be attached for the horse to love you back? What do you gain from that? Because if you're doing something to receive something, whether it be an emotion or a physical material thing, then you're doing something for the wrong reasons, right? I don't perform for the money, obviously. That's funny. I do it because I love it, okay? Money helps. Money is a material thing that we need. But to the core, I would still be doing it with or without the money, right? If money didn't exist, right? And I have this quote here. It's by Katharine Hepburn, and it says, "Love has nothing to do with what you are expecting to get, only with what you are expecting to give," which is everything, okay? So not having that expectation that you put in the hours for training and taking care of your horse and mucking the stalls and feeding them and all the money, they don't know what money is, okay? They don't know what ownership is. They don't understand why the fence only goes this far, and they're never gonna. So if you're doing something because you expect them to know something in return or give you back something in return, stop. Okay? There's a huge strength and power to do something because you just enjoy it and not expect anything in return. If you can just do something or own a horse because you love them and you love the feeling of, I have 4 horses because of my motherly instincts. I enjoy feeding and taking care and teaching my horses to make their lives better. I enjoy that. I got one that was a racehorse, so I know his life is better right now sitting in a pasture. I got one that was going to go to auction. I got one off of Craigslist. So I told the owners, I'm like, I can't afford him full price. And they were like, "We're trying to sell our horse on Craigslist. We met some crazies. We want you to have him. Like, we know he'll be in good hands if you buy him." And then I got my little guy off of Facebook. So, I do my daily work because it brings me joy just to do it. And I'm not expecting anything in return from them. So, mucking their shed, buying round bales, keeping them fat, keeping them moving, keeping them active, engaging with them. When I set them free in the pasture and they run off and don't want anything to do with me that day, I don't take offense to it because I want them to be horses, and I want them to be happy, healthy horses where I do my part and I take care of their needs. And then hopefully, they don't even have to give me anything. Just me doing that for them and seeing them thrive gives me enjoyment. But see how it's not coming directly from the horse? It's this reciprocal gratitude and giving that I receive from it, right? So it's like, why not? Why not love something that maybe can't love you back, can trust you, or that might not get attached to you back? And honestly, that would be a bad thing, right? Especially for people at boarding stables. if you can only see your horse for like a couple hours a day, because you know, have a family and a job and like a life outside of the barn. I mean, my life's in the barn for the most part, but I got to do human things. Like I got to go to my other job so I can pay rent and stuff. Um, Imagine if your horse was attached to you and every time you would leave it, it would, you know, get sick and stress out. And, you know, if you see horses in a stall stressed out, it's most, it is not having to do with humans. It's having to do with being in a stall because it's not natural for them. Um, so there's nothing wrong, but everything right with just loving to give, not to receive. If you give, magically, you will receive back from the universe and it'll be awesome. One thing I wanted to mention too was that what is the opposite of love? Some psychologists say the opposite of love is fear. I don't think so, because at least not in horses. Well, actually, we are saying that kind of with safety and love, but um, love and hate, right? Let's just go with the status quo of the opposite of love is hate. The great thing about horses not actually by definition loving you is that they actually by definition don't hate you. You can always turn the relationship around because they're in the moment and they're so forgiving because they don't dread on the past and they don't, you know, think about the future other than the associations they made in order for them to survive. You can always change something, and then if they can't actually love you, they can't actually hate you. That's why if you ever have a bad ride or you put your horse through something stressful, what happens? The next day they come to you again. It's a beautiful thing. And a lot of horses in the world suffer because they can't hate. You ever know kids that say, I hate this, and then, you know, an adult steps in and goes, hey, 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 hate's a strong word. But we hate, we learn how to hate. We hate each other just because we're different. And then world wars are started over it, right? Hate's like a real thing. But a horse can't hate. Think about that and how beautiful that is. And because you know that, all you can do to help them is just spread the education and spread the love so that, you know, and spread your abilities so that more people can learn about their horses and just love them, and more horses can end up in trusting, loving homes where people don't hold them to this power and then hate them, and because the horse will never hate you back. Never. They might be afraid of you. They might fight you because they're scared of you. And that's not anything that is the horse's problem. It's the human's problem. Okay. I hope that clarified for a little bit. I would love to know what you guys are thinking about that and your opinions on that. I enjoyed, I hope I brought everything because I've been thinking about this talk for a while, but I haven't like written it down. And then I've been thinking about it so long that some of the thoughts just got kind of lost here and there. But I gave you guys the encouragement of 2020, and I'm reaching out, and I'm reaching out to all my people who reach out to me, and I'm reaching out to you guys on a mass level that, you know, I hope you guys have done the work to take care of yourself, and we're going into a new state of consciousness, and 2021 is going to be better. It's going to be better. We got a road to travel, but it's not going to be this destruction anymore. It's going to be a construction of the new. And with that being said, we're going to have Horsemanship Unlocked at home. You guys know I had clinics canceled for good reason, okay? The last thing I want to do is bring the numbers together of people in a gathering when we really shouldn't, due to people's safety. And, you know, the scary thing about the virus is some people don't respect it until it hits home. And we don't want it to hit home. We want to look out for each other so it doesn't have to hit home. So there's not one less empty chair during the holidays. And, you know, and I'm, like I said, I'm so grateful for being where I am and being able to be in quarantine with my favorite person and being able to have a job before this all started and everything. But it does put a damper on material external world horseback riding lessons, and for all my awesome kids who want to trick ride, right? And actually, I can't even trick ride because I don't know if you guys, if I don't, converse with you on a regular basis, many of you probably don't know that I sprained my ankle really bad at my sister's wedding about 6 weeks ago, and I won't be trick riding until the spring. So, like, if your 2020 is like mine, I get it, okay? But roll with the punches, adapt. We can do it. We can do it. And this is my adaptation right here, is that we probably won't be able to gather in huge numbers for a while, and that's fine. That's like for, everybody's safety. And I have clients that just got horses and are ready to trick ride, need to practice at home, need to stay with it, need to train their horses, want to do some liberty, want to even do stuff that's not riding. If you're not motivated this year, like I kind of have not been at times, there's more you can do. I mean, and your horses don't need to be ridden every day. They're like, heck yeah, like they don't, if you don't want to work every day, they don't want to either. The 40-hour work week is like, so we're over it, right? One thing that this year has taught me is that we're not always able to rely on our external structures, right? So we have to take our internal structures, and being isolated, all this year, and we know that there's more to come. We still want community. And I don't know about you, but I've been so turned off to everything. Like, the external world is dangerous because people are sick and they're going out when they're sick anyways, or they don't know they're sick, and that's not their fault, but they're trying to live the same life they've been living. And then the internal world's kind of unsafe either. Everyone's been so hasty this year, and you can't write anything on the internet without getting someone jumping down your throat. So my idea, which has been following me all year, I just haven't done anything with it, but it keeps nipping me. So now that I've been able to take the time to work on myself, now I can sit down and really, put this thing into drive, is creating a community. So not just a YouTube, place where people from wherever can just comment whatever they want and, shut each other down, or not a place where you feel like you can't speak and learn. I want to make this like an exclusive community for you guys to learn, because my company is Equine Education and Entertainment. That's what I'm here to do. I want to educate, and let's throw some entertainment in there. We just had not just like early fall, before we couldn't do much. We had a little demo at Hart, and my horse jumped over fire. It was awesome. We didn't catch it on video, but once I can, I'll share that with you guys, and not even really be like, let's tie it all together, education and entertainment. This is what I was doing. This is what's, with multiple perspectives. So the history, the psychology, the mechanics of it, like, let's do it, So if you want to be involved and continue your learning and have multiple places to reach from, join me, because I'm ready to get this thing off the ground. Well, I'm getting ready to get this thing off the ground, but I promise you it's not going to be what happened this year. I did the work. We're ready to work. We're ready to get going. The podcasts are going to be still a free thing with some thoughts and some interviews. But then in our community, if you so choose to join, which is going to be super, super affordable, it's a place where you guys can discuss, connect together. We're going to have little insights and extras, and I just signed on somebody for these weekly extras, and I'm so excited. They're going to be so fun. And I want to share research with you guys. So pulling out the stuff that I had access to in grad school that most people do not get access to, and just going through and diagnosing equine research, because I keep talking about research, but let's bust out the research, right? Filming live lessons so you guys can just kind of be a part of it. audit something, pick up, watch horses' behavior, and then of course, actual courses. I'm talking about 5-week, 15-hour, like 3 days a week, 5-week courses on history, groundwork, liberty training, playing with your horse, do-it-yourself barn stuff. I got other trainers. This is the first time I'm announcing it to you guys, but this is not the first spoken word of this project. I got trainers on board who are going to offer things that I can't offer, like in-hand work, dressage. It's going to be awesome. And so if you're in the community, that's going to be discounted, and everything is going to be like just a reciprocal awesomeness. The beauty of the online stuff is that it doesn't cost what like a live lesson costs. But we just help each other. Like, you help us continue to create our work, and we're going to continue to serve you, and it's going to be beautiful. Like, I got equipment, like it's not going to be just like recorded Zoom stuff. It's going to be like the real deal. So I'm really excited. I want to know what you guys think. I want to know what you want to learn, what you want to discuss, what you want to talk about, because this is going to be an ongoing community thing. And hopefully when it's safe, it's also going to bring about real life events. Like, if you're in the community and I can create a course for my community members, like, we'll bring you back to trick ride again and we will do performances for you guys, and include you, and do training and include you, and get the performances going again on like a performance, like okay, I can't get ahead of myself. I think very much in a stepwise function, and I tend to go like all the way, but this is where it starts, okay? Is no longer leaving you guys in the dust because our external world is not reliable. Let's start here with not just fact and theory. Like, we're going to give you the theory and the application and the practice. So yeah, it doesn't even have a name yet, but I'm super, super, super excited. Love to know what you think. Love to know what you guys think about our discussion today and getting ready for more just like that. And I said a lot, so I think that's all I have to say for now. Thank you for tuning in again. Thank you for your patience. And we'll catch you next time. Stay tuned.